Hey, so this is a continuation of the study session, lesson, replay, rewind, etc. This is still 1976 and Spark Your Mind and Glide Station, you dig? Navigating you through waters of fruitfulness and cleansing, for sure. And yeah, again, this is a rewind, a repeat, a rerun of an already established class on the ideology and the de jure principles as it relates to real, I don't even want to say that word, not even real. Let's say true identification, all right, which hinges always on the principles of nationality at all times. At all times. You dig? So go ahead and take a listen. Maybe this is the finish up as I travel back to my my domicile, to my abode. You feel me? Anyway, peace.
All right. And you know what, and I'd like to add one thing so we can bring it back to dealing with the trust, with your league. Another thing, and I believe, I'm not sure which article it's in, Cujo might remember better at this point, it's slipping my mind, where the prophet, in fact, I'm going back to where we're saying that we're all Moors, he in fact addressed, at least broke it down into three different groups of people, if you will, of Moors, actually, when he said, I am talking to all loyal and faithful Moors. And he said to all members and to all true American citizens. Now, when he said all loyal and faithful Moors, that means that means that they, whether they were in the temple or not in the temple, he was addressing them. And then when he said to all members, clearly he was addressing those who were members of the temple. But he wasn't excluding others from being a Moor, clearly by that address. And then thirdly, to true American citizens, because even those who came over and were naturalized, they naturalized, gave up their nationality from over there to be American citizen under some rank of citizenship. All right? So he addressed not just Moors, but everyone. And so it's very annoying or lack of knowledge when anyone from any temple says, well, you're not really a Moor unless you come to the temple. Well, the prophet didn't say that. He said all loyal and faithful Moors, comma, all members, comma. I mean, come on. It makes no sense. So it's clear that they're admitting that they are running a club and that they only acknowledge those who are members of their club. And the card that they offer is a membership card to the club, even though it says it's a nationality identification card, and we respect it for that. The people who are managing those positions do not obviously know what they have or know the history, truthfully, of what they're dealing with, unless they are consciously trying to exclude their brethren, not do any missionary work as they're supposed to do, and wanting to just run a private club. So, I don't know which article that's in, Cujo, if you remember.
And that right there is the simple math as it relates to that. You run that back so you can hear that clearly. There is no separation. The only separations there are within the mindset of those who have not obtained the proper knowledge, skill set, true reality as it relates to what nationality and being a Moor and Moorish identity is. A temple does not give you that. No man can give you that. That is coming from your mother. All right, that's your lineage. That's your birthright, and that is also given you by your God, however you want to call that. All right? Your manifestation from the Most High, the Buddha, the Allah, Yeshua, etc., etc., etc. All right? That's what that is. You dig? And can't no man, as far as I know, box with God. All right? Ain't no man boxing with creation. You dig? So we're going to get back to this. Put your thinking caps on. And open up your listening ears. And hear what's being provided to you. You ain't a Negro. You ain't a black person. You ain't a colored person. You ain't an African American, an Afro American, a Latino. You ain't none of that. Those are false brands. You ain't no Indian. Native American neither. Brands. Those are brands of enslavement. So you go ahead and keep attaching yourself to that madness if you want, and then cry about the treatment that you keep getting. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and be quiet for a minute.
I think it was funny, the letters to be read every meeting that nobody ever reads.
That nobody ever reads? Okay, that explains it. You're right. But it's supposed to be read before every meeting, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And that's just the pattern, because people stray away from the prophet. Like when we look at the time frame that the prophet came till now, and we think about everybody that said that they were for the liberation of our people, they respect everybody else except the prophet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're going to listen to Seti and these people talk shit about the prophet, and Ali Muhammad and these people. They're going to listen to them. But prophecies are manifested in their face every day. Not once in a while, every day. Notice all these prophecies are manifesting every single day.
Yeah.
And people are just, well, now he's a Mason and he's this and he's that. Well, Martin Luther King was a Mason. Y'all following him still.
Yeah, but the prophet said, I ain't taking the covers off of all secret organizations. So, it's a contradiction when they're running what he established these temples as clearly called them secret organizations or secret clubs.
Bottom line.
And then stressing the point yet again. He said he took all the secrets off, and then people have added to him was being secretive.
Right. Yep.
Doesn't that tell you something?
Say it again.
Yeah.
If we talk like that, they're going to say, oh, we're renegades and we're against the prophet, and then y'all going to listen to them. When we're the only ones that are active doing something. That somebody could actually call anybody on this line right here, or send them an email and get some type of reply. Furthermore, they might not reply because they're busy, but, people's perspective is away from what Noble Drew Ali said, what Noble Drew Ali brought you. This is your birthright. So if you don't want it, it's okay. It's just going to sit there. Somebody will pick it up and use it.
Right.
And more than likely, they'll use it to rape you. More than likely. They'll take your birthright and use it to rape you.
Mm.
Right, exactly. One other thing too, and Ms. Rain, we don't really like mentioning names because we just deal with the facts that are out there that may be misconceptions, where some of the, I think you may have mentioned it already, correct me if I'm wrong, with some of the people in the temples that are running the temples, they don't even know that that the various copper colored people found on the continent by Europeans as a definition are Moors. They don't even know that.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, it's people in temples who do not understand that the various copper complexion people are us. Like they say, well, we don't have nothing to do with that reference to American. We're not Americans. And I'm like, what? Like, yo, you have to be out of your mind because chapter 47, like the prophet said, our dominions extend across the great Atlantic oceans. Like, our dominions extend across the great Atlantic Ocean. What was he talking about then? What does Morocco mean? If we talking about the etymology and we go to Al-Maghrib, it's saying the West, the most extreme West. Like, what you like, people cannot be serious. You know what I mean? Like, so, what I'm saying is, in the relationship to what was just said, you know, it was a reference made to the fact that they have secret adab chambers or whatever. But anybody who does just a little bit of extensive research, you'll see that an adept is like a poet. They're born, not made. You can't make an adept. You can't make a poet. Like, somebody could practice putting words together as far as trying to rhyme, but you cannot make a poet. It's something that's innate. And by the way, since we're on that subject, if you do our lineage, I mean, it just goes back with us as far as poetry, rhyming, the whole nine. That's a part of our culture. But, you know, as far as an adept, somebody like you could have a child 7 years old right now, spiritually already an adept. May not have all the tools yet, may not have understanding of all the tools yet, but aware the purity of mind and the ancient energy it brings back with it, it will unfold into what it is, no different than the flower or any other plant. You know, it has the full potencies and potentials to unfold, but it already is what it is.
Facts.
So you got adepts who are just being born right now as we speak. Matter of fact, on that note, happy solar return for, you know, it's the solar return of Prophet Noble Ali, which is in a couple of moments. But, you know, you have adepts, you know, that are here now and have not unfolded any different than the flower that you may have now in the flower pot. You may have had it in there for 4 months, but it hasn't grown to its full potential, but it still just is what it is. It's a plant. Same thing with an adept. So, I mean, yeah, we learn as we go through experience. But one thing I also want to make sure we made mention of is, you know, Morris posed the question of, you know, should we publish our nationality in the newspaper, or, you know, is the temple sufficient enough? Like, yes, the temple is sufficient enough if it's in its proper status, like if it's running in its proper function. Now, what is the key point, though? The key point is that Noble Ali said the biggest weapons, right? Because we have to have our own press. Like, yeah, we could put the newspaper on notice, but more than likely, I mean, they may put it out, but they're not going to fully publicize your whole affidavit. And Islam, cool, Joe, I appreciate what you did with that newspaper a couple months ago. You published it right in the newspaper. Allow to that, because that's what we're supposed to do. So, yes, it's good to put it in the press, but you got to understand, the Prophet already told us, like, the truth about us being disadvantaged will never be told. So the key is to have our own press, and it should be published via that press versus their press, because more than likely they're not going to put it out in its proper light. I'm not saying it hasn't been done. I'm just saying the function and the key to it is, you know, having our own press. Like, if you go into like any what they call major city today, you know, or just any community that they call urban or suburban today, you will always see at some type of store of another. Like, let's say the Bodenkins have a store. They have a newspaper in that store written in their language. You might not even understand what it's saying. It's written in their language. Why? Because that's just a part of national principle. You have to have a press outlet. So that is the key to it all, is that we're supposed to have our own newspapers, you know. So, yes, the temple is sufficient. but the publication should come through our own press, because it's the reason why I said that the truth about the disadvantaged people will not be told. Even though we're not really disadvantaged, everything is what we make it to be, because we are the lords of the plane that everything made manifest. So we're the landlords to sum it up, but I'm just, I didn't want to omit that. So Islam, with that I respectfully yield the floor.
Islam. Did you want to say something?
Oh, no, go ahead.
So, all right. Islam. We have 39 minutes left to the show, and what I would like to do at this time is, as this show is about the nationality and identification card, and what makes an identification card a nationality and identification card, I'm going to open up the line for questions. So if you have a question or a comment regarding the topic of today's show, please press 1 on your telephone dial. But before I get into that, I just want to say this. I can never say it enough. We need to be about the business of study. Because number one, the prophet said, I need your help. He also said, enforce the Constitution. It stands to reason that the help he needs is enforcing the Constitution. However, if you do not know, comprehend, and have knowledge of the law, and on this continent, the supreme law of this land is the American Constitution, 1791. It is put in place to keep all corporations, foreigners, other citizens from infringing on the rights pretty much of the Aboriginal indigenous people, as well as all people we allow to come here and live in peace and harmony. This is our obligation. Once you make the declaration verbally and the proclamation backing up your verbal declaration to, take on your heritage, your obligation is to enforce that Constitution, because it is our responsibility to maintain the balance of harmony. That is our obligation. That is our job. And no one can take that from you and make it anything other than that. And this is the reason why we, as a nation, are in the position that we're in now. We must also recognize that look, I say it all the time, there's a lot of finance, credit on the table. This continent is absolutely abundant with wealth, seen and unseen. So in order for us to get back our seemingly lost estate of which we are currently standing on, we must know we cannot stand in the light of belief, because guess what? That light is gone. We have moved on into a new light of knowing. And, I'm not trying to put the temples down or anything, but the prophet did say that, there's going to be new Moors that move into those temples, and they're going to put those old Moors in the back. And not to be dishonorable, but as advisors, not to leave because you have done what you came to do. And it is time to put some new blood in those seats, because we're going to need much energy to take it to the next level. So you cannot lean on somebody else's belief. You've got to know. And if you do a little bit of studying, if you know anyone who has one of these passports, from the corporate United States of America. Take a look at what is defined as nationality. All right? If you do any research, go into the Secretaries of State and look what they define. There's an element that they put online for a corporation. There's an element that is online that is missing from the so-called driver's license, which is permission, and the Social Security Administration insurance policy card, which is a membership card. It's, if you have had a medical insurance, you understand the concept of a medical card because it's an insurance card. And so is the social insurance policy, the social insurance policy number. You get a card with your policy number on it. Those are not lawful identifications. What's interesting is if you go to the Secretary of State and you look on there for the corporation identification, it says nationality. It says it on there. Why is that not on the driver's license? Or why is that not on the Social Security Administration identification card? Because that's not lawful identification. They can apply it to a corporation, but they do not put it on the so-called license and identification, the so-called only acceptable lawful and legal identification that these corporations are accepting. How can you not see that as collusion? Exactly. That is collusion. They are all colluding to get you to abandon your birthright. And once again, if you read the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, it tells you in there. I'm not going to read it because past Article 18 and 19, they tell you that these states have an obligation to provide for the Aboriginal Indigenous people. Why? Because they are foreigners in our land.
And so that you're clear, not only does the United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People indicate that, you can also look up the Declaration of Rights of a Child. You can also look up the Human Rights Declaration. You can also look up the American Declaration of Rights of Man. All right? All of those documents indicate and specifically state that a nationality is your right to have. Not a tribe, not a club, not none of that. Nationality. It's important. And that's exactly why it's never discussed. And if you paid attention to the so-called news recently, they've been putting this talking point on the floor, on the table. What is that talking point? That talking point is in reference to what they're considering. Come on, what is it? What are they calling it? Citizenship, birthright citizen or something to that effect. They're kind of like telling you right in your face that something is very important about what we're talking about, but then they are pushing the ideology of some certain people being outside of, okay, they're being outside of having the right to be an American. You need to really pay attention to that. Because my brothers and sisters from Middle America, the islands, both Hawaii and the Caribbean and South America, all are Americans. All right? Especially the copper-toned. Especially. From the lightest of light to the deepest of mahogany. That's American. But we're going to get back to this.
anymore, I don't care if they're in or out of the temple, that refers to a Roman tribunal as the government is sadly mistaken. They are not the government. They are a private, foreign, for-profit corporation. And so we must know the distinction. Who is the government? Look in law. The government is the people, because government means governing your own mental capacity, faculty. That's it.
And I have to say, I just got to see this one thing, brought it back to the attention. When you were talking about these state governments, again, if they are established as a government entity, and they have an obligation, and the first thing they do is take the oath, right? But this is another thing to mention. Some of the people that are more running temples, out of temples, whatever club, whatever they're into, and they had the audacity in some of their in this press release actually to say that they are working with the government. Wow, I'm like, oh my goodness, working with the government and making obviously some treaty or some agreements with them. And again, we all must, this is so serious, people, so serious, because they can't make, any states can't make alliances or agreements. Or treaties or anything. So if these MSTFAs are talking about they're making agreements with them, what they're really telling you is that we are agents for the state, because they can't make agreements with them. And how is it that they don't know that? Because they don't know law. Islam. I hear people.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, that's type sick, because states can't make treaties, and it already is what it is. But before you go to the callers,
yes.
Brother Kuzo, you still with us?
Yeah, man, man.
Salaam, can you tell the people how they can obtain a copy of that newspaper you did with your judicial proclamation in it? How can the people obtain that? Or
You can send we still have them. It's $50 a bundle, 100 of them in a bundle, and you could just send an email to canaanlandguide@gmail.com. So CANANLANDGUIDE, canaanlandguide@gmail.com. And we do PayPal or money order, whatever. PayPal is usually easiest for people because of the online whatever they do or whatever we do. So
was that was that CANAAN land?
Yeah.
Guide, all one word, right?
All one word.
All right.
Right. That is the perfect exhibit of how you publish, your name, your nationality, declaration, judicial proclamation, name correction in the newspaper. Like, that is a perfect exhibit. Now, it could be more pages for the more people who do it, but it's the perfect exhibit of what you're supposed to do as far as publishing your status. Islam. If you don't have any understanding of how it should be done, and hopefully if more people do it, that could, help it stay up and running as far as press, Well,
right. So and even the initiation of that is us getting into the information and listening to people saying, well, you have to go to the record to go file something. Well, Canaan Land doesn't have records. They dissolved all the counties here hundreds of years ago.
Yep.
So
they did that up here too.
So the only way that we're able to present our claim is through the paper. But then when you go to the paper, they're telling you about, $500 for a little box or whatever. So we can take that $500 and make our own paper. I mean, considering, we're the Aboriginal indigenous people of the land and all the declarations say that we have the authority to do this, You know, on top of that, Noble Drew Ali said we should have a paper. So that's reason enough to have a paper.
Yeah, and
just
you know
because
what?
he said it.
And then finally,
And you know what? I'll say this, because, you know, some time ago when it was mentioned about the Moroccan star that used to be in circulation, I felt like, okay, alrighty. Why is it that we are having a problem sustaining a Moorish publication? Why is that? Now, nobody needs to answer that question, but think about it. How many people subscribe to the local newspaper or the Wall Street Journal or, you know, the various different Ebony, Jet, you know, look, these publications are programming you to think that what they are giving you, which is nothing more than regurgitated vomit, okay? All right? Because regurgitated vomit, they're getting you to believe that that is new. That is not new. And you know, that's number one. Number two, or number one, really, you ought to be supporting your own publication. We shouldn't have to be putting out a bundle. We should have enough subscribers to have a weekly or a bi-weekly publication, and we have a subscriber base. That's what ought to be happening. We got enough people. Why is that not happening?
Yeah.
Of course, I'm probably giving Cujo a lot of work now with that thought. Well,
it's like, we got stuff.
but that's true. We put a lot of finances into other people's stuff, and that brings me to, and we should have another session about that, about now how this backlash of people giving these Europeans filing fees for UCC, thinking that they, you know, gained their sovereignty when sovereignty comes with their nationality. You know, they gave all that finance. Absolutely, and now that's coming back and biting them because we don't have an obligation to that. Doesn't mean that you can't know how to use them, because there's nothing but ancient Moorish merchant laws that were codified by them in the 60s. But, you know, we spend too much finance on it's you know, a lot of concept corrections, I guess, is what's needed.
Absolutely. But like I said, this is something that we collectively, we need to seriously look into. We have, look, if things may be tight, but all of us have some discretionary income somewhere.
Not income.
You know?
It's not income.
I'm sorry, you're right, that's right. We got some finance, some discretionary finance somewhere. We're buying some crap that we don't need to be buying or making a purchase of. We're buying something. We're putting our energy and our finances into something that we really can eliminate and support our own publication. We can do that. And the publication is just one area. We need to be about keeping our finance and our credit and our energy in our own nation. That's not difficult to do. But, you know, that's probably another show. But we need to recognize that we are the economy of this continent. People want to always talk about, we need to talk about economic development. We are the economic being developed on a daily basis.
Islam. But you know what? I can see already we're going to have to do a part 2 to this, because I just want to add on. You mentioned economy. And the thing is, this is why we need to nationalize. I can't put enough emphasis on it. Because I really can't. Because, like, the truth of the matter is, enslaved people, when they think economy, they're thinking of gaining a bunch of greenbacks, like green pieces of paper with European president faces on it. I'm not saying that doesn't have its place as far as what we have to do right now, but that's what they think is economy. Like, free beings think that of economy as the land, the state, the resources, etc. All right, why? Because why are they able to print? They're able to print in one day more Federal Reserve notes that you can make in your lifetime in one day. So they're not stressing about that. You know what I'm saying? The thing that they're stressing about is having the land, the resources to do it, which is where the true economy is at. Because we could print papers all day for the rest of our lives, you know, but that's not true economy. The true economy is coming from the land, the estate, and the resources. And that's an advantage that they have on us as far as economics, because they know that. Think about it. They're making a killing off of bottled water alone. That's a resource based in the land, off the land. Killing them with that. So that's just one example. But the fact that they are implying, and some of us are under the impression that they could sell and we can buy what's already ours, which when I say that, I mean the land in the estate. You understand? Which is back to identity. Why? Because we are the true possessors of the land. When the nationality card says ancestral estate, take pause, take heed, and understand that we're talking about our ancient ancestors and our relationship to this land. All right? Because it's talking about the right of blood. It's talking about the right of blood. And all of this goes back to the economy, or what they call the ecosystem. I remember them teaching it, and even in the de facto schools, they stopped teaching it real early. But when they mentioned the ecosystem and the economy, they was talking about water, the food chain, all of that. You know, it wasn't talking about the ecosystem. And I just went to a regular public school. I'm glad I remember that. You know, but they wasn't talking about the economy is, you know, dealing with Federal Reserve notes. No, that's not true. It's not true. Because the reality is, you know, it's dealing with the land and the resources. But I'm going to yield the floor in respect to everything else that must go on in the callers online.
Well, we got about 20 minutes left to the internet feed, and I just want to make this announcement. This Sunday, we were to have the Sisters Standing on Law, but as you may have noticed, we have not gotten our syllabus off because we're going to be reviewing Article 1 of the American Constitution, 1791. It is quite extensive, and we are digging up some surprising information for ourselves alone. So what we're going to do is we're going to push it to this month, for the month of January. Sisters Standing on Law is going to be the third Sunday of the month. We're going to get the syllabus finished up, and we're going to publish it so that everyone will have enough time to review it and review and study. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you haven't pulled Article 1 apart, you need to go and get it, all right? And also, you know, our next show actually is sort of kind of like a part 2 to this show, and it's entitled Free National Appellation, How Do I Determine My Own? So we are going to, camelback right into that show next week. And let's see, we got a couple callers with questions, so we're going to take those callers right now. And let's see, caller 719-964, you are live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwestern Accent.
Greetings, this is Bukhari.
Islam.
Love. Just an outstanding show. I want to say honors to the panel, and I want to make sure this time that I can say hello to everyone, but in particular Roz, Queen Roz, because she said hello to me on a couple of occasions, and I seem to get the phone messed up. So Hello, Rob.
Well, you know what, Bakari, let me just say this real quick, because I was telling Anna E that I recall you very well when you first got involved in this information, and you are one of the very few people that asked through email questions, extensive questions, down to, and in fact, where the card was even concerned, you asked, well, what's the MDNM on the corner of the card mean? I recall those emails. I saved them. I'm going to put them on frequently asked questions at some point. So I told her, I remember him asking these questions, and now I'm listening to you where obviously you have studied, and it just reflects in the things that you bring to the table. So peace to you, brother.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
All right.
I just have so many questions, but I just, I think what I'm going to do is just make a quick statement, and then I'm going to get off the line so somebody else can talk. It just seems to me that being the age that I am, and remembering how things have changed in terms of the portrayal of our history across the planet. And what I mean specifically is that I'm now thinking back like 20 years, 25 years, and I remember how certain television shows in reference to history were portraying some of our ancestors as copper-colored people. And the point that I'm trying to make here is that as the older that I get, I see that changing more and more to where the representation is showing us as more European and less and less color with every passing year. And so what I'm trying to say here is not something that people are not aware of, but what I'm trying to say is to those individuals out there who are not taking nationality serious and who are doing harm to us as Moors, they are really doing harm to themselves as a whole, because if they, essentially people are dying on a daily basis, and what they're doing is literally killing themselves. If you do not understand what is happening as a result of the way things are being governed across this planet, and you cannot make the distinction between being black, Negro, African American, colored, and having a nationality, that is either a direct result of brainwashing, some sort of psychological problem, or just straight up you are, an agent. It doesn't get any more simple than that. And I just wanted to share that. I certainly do have a lot of questions, but I just had to get that off my chest.
Salaam, Noble.
That's what I'm here for. Islam, bro.
Islam.
That's it for right now. There's more time left on this particular one, but we'll get to that another day. In the meantime, between time, build knowledge and destroy ignorance. Know thyself. Again, this is 1976 and Spark, your mind and glide station, navigating you through waters of fruitfulness and cleansing, you dig? For sure. Islam.